Welcome back to the World Championship Series, everybody. This is the second half of the day as we enter Group D for the Premier League of Season 3. Joined by a giggling in control.
When you said second half, I immediately saw Kevin on the corner of my eye go like this, and I knew what he was thinking. So much stars!
We're only halfway there, boys.
We have a great group ahead of us, though. This is a fantastic group that we got. Let's take a quick look as we enter the second half, as Rotterdam checks his watch once again as we get into the graphic.
It's quite beautiful.
It's a massive group with 3 players out of the 4 that are looking at a spot to play at the global finals. It's a huge day for these guys.
Yeah, this is just a group that I think brings the most hype on paper as well. You know, Lilbow has been the runner-up of Season 2. That was an amazing performance. It's been a long time that a non-Korean made it to the finals of WCS. And then, of course, there is 4GG, who has so much to make up for. Like, oh my god, what happened in Season 2? Like, all of these games, we still remember them so well. I'm sure he remembers them very well. Then there is Jaedong. We're always excited about Jaedong, especially Jeff. That's why I'm sure that Jeff picked Jaedong as well to win his first series. Yeah. And then, of course, there is Igus.
And one of these guys is going to join the 3 that have gone through. It's very difficult to pick which one's going to do it.
Igas, the best New Zealand player there is. I'm just kidding. He's clearly Australian.
Jeff has been making a track record with those Aussies and New Zealandese down there. These Kiwis. Is
See, now I don't say that because I think that's derogatory.
Yeah, Kiwi is fine.
No, Kiwi is
I don't
fine.
think you can call them Kiwis.
They're actually designing a new flag right now. And I think it has a key.
It's just got a big kiwi on it. Is that what you're about to say?
I don't think so. I don't know, Kev.
Well, to be fair, if it is
derogatory,
there's like 17 people that live on that island, so we're not making it.
Well, okay, Jeff just can't help it. He can't help himself. Let's take a quick look at the match screen now to see which games are coming up, as we've already kind of knew what's coming, and it's just around the corner. It's Jaedong versus Lilbow, and then after that, it's going to be 4GG versus Igas before we get into the winners match. But like I mentioned before, and like you've already said, Roddy, this is such a great group of players.
Yeah, really, I don't even know where to start. Well, even though I just went over it a little bit already, but it's such a big group for so many. Like 4GG, we said it in the start of the year, you look at this, he won a DreamHack last year. We kind of look at this like 4GG should at least win 1 WCS season, right? Like if he has 3 shots with the competition we have over here and the amazing player that he is, he didn't even come close so far. Now he's in a very tough group. I'm personally so excited to see how he does today.
And I believe he said he's retiring after this WCS season.
Oh, well, he's got to make up for it this season because he's got a lot of work ahead of him. As our first match is Lilbow versus Jaedong as the Tyrant comes to Poland.
I won't get WCS, but sometimes make me very stressful. My strength is confident. I like cheesy opponents because always fun game. Last time I was in Katowice, many fans waiting line. It was huge and very energetic. Final. I want to final and victory.
He wants it, but can he get it? Top 8 in Season 2, and he comes fresh into Season 3. And is he going to get what he really wants in Control?
Yes. I think he's actually in pretty good form. I know that's, again, we're going to me first, and everyone's like, oh god, here we go. But to be honest, his results have been pretty good. He did fairly well at MSI against some very good opponents. And before that, in his WCS group, he took care of business, which is actually something to be looked at. Like, look at the people he played against. None of these players should beat him, but we've seen so far in WCS that this is where upsets happen and where those young foreigners do upset these big Koreans.
And it's just very tough to make correct predictions, right?
It's the hardest.
No, but to go even further, let's not forget about the tournament he had in Canada, the base trade tournament. Hell, it's a boot time, as they really emphasize it.
A boot?
Yeah. No, I mean, he made it to the final, got so close, and I would even say in that final, like, it may be a little bit unfair to say towards Jan, I kind of felt he played better. Like, he lost all the short games, but the longer games, I always felt that Jaedong made the difference.
Okay.
He looked very good in that finals, and he looked very good throughout that entire tournament, and that must give him a lot of confidence.
A lot of fans are agreeing that Jaedong's in the best shape he's been in a long time now. Would you agree with that too?
Yeah, I think certainly when you say in a long time, he is one of those guys that is not your MC, where he will travel to a lot of tournaments, and that travel will actually wear him down. But despite that, he's been kind of North American based for a little while now and getting really good practice and seems to be in good shape.
All right, well, he goes up against a player who is also in pretty good shape, but he has his goals set on the big goal, which is the global finals.
I've been playing video games since I had a computer in my room, basically, so at 9 or 10 years old, I think. So when I discovered esports, I just knew I wanted to be a pro gamer, like directly. It was the only job I really wanted to do. I think the best thing to win a match is to have a very clean early and mid game, like try to play as perfectly as possible during the 15 first minutes. I think WCS is just the most important thing in my life right now. It's like the biggest tournament by very far, and I need to do well in this tournament to go at BlizzCon, so it's like extremely important.
The runner-up of Season 2 has absolutely all the eyeballs of the world on him right now. He's the hottest thing in the last couple of months.
Yeah, I have to agree, and especially that French scene has produced so many good players, and he right now is kind of the spear tip of that thrust. He's been doing really, really well. Going back to Season 2 in Toronto, I think that's one of his best performances to date because it's some of the most important opponents on the biggest stage.
Yeah, that was a massive performance for him, and he's looking to continue that coming into Season 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I am a tiny bit worried though, because how often haven't we seen it in the past? You know, a new foreigner enters the scene, does amazingly well, we all jump on the hype train immediately, and then the next season they just don't really perform in the same way.
Yeah.
And if you look at this group, like just making it out of this group normally is already an amazing task. Like, it's going to be so difficult. And I feel there's definitely a little bit of extra pressure on his shoulders as well. Even though he always kind of brushes it off and he plays cool, he has like this funny arrogance aura around him, but he's actually really not that arrogant. He's very nice and he's very funny in a weird way, but he has to be feeling it a little bit, man.
He's absolutely weak when it comes to Protoss versus Protoss, and he's been very, very vocal about that, but there is not a Protoss in this group that he has to go up against, and he's going up against a player who plays a race he specializes in. He loves the Protoss versus Zerg matchup.
He actually is one of the, I don't know, the architects of kind of the European Protoss versus Zerg meta that has really spread around. A lot of these Zergs are just not having a good time, and they're kind of crying a lot about it, and it's because of this young man out of France. He's really led the way with it. It's very Stalker-centric base, it's very aggressive, and behind it, they're making a lot of cutting-edge choices. It'll either be a 2-base super hard all-in, or they're getting a really fast third Nexus, and that throws Zergs for a loop.
Is that the style we're expecting to see from him today as well?
Yeah, probably. I would be very surprised to see him switch it up. He does sometimes go for crazy all-ins out of nowhere, like he did in the finals against Hydra, and a lot of the Europeans were even like, why is he doing that? You know, just do your regular thing. But obviously there's a reason why he would go for that, right? Especially in a moment like that. So, and I kind of expect Jaedong to definitely have done his homework as well. I think Jaedong is going to be quite ready to deal with it, so it will all come down to execution.
Well, it's also going to come down to the maps, as we have 3 maps that we're going to go to now in this best of 3. Talk to us. You play Protoss, Roddy, so do you, Jeff. The maps and how they're going to play, and what are we expecting? It's Cactus Valley, Coda, and Terraform. Are we going to see that traditional Lilbow style on all 3 maps, and what can Jaedong really do to fight against it on these?
Well, I think Cactus Valley is actually pretty favorable for Jaedong to start on, because for that style, it's a little bit difficult. There is that cliff overlooking the third on this map where Zergs typically take their third, and we've seen players like Petit Drogo and Lilbow, kind of the same ilk of Protoss, do this thing where they tuck a pylon in there and they warp in with the Mothership Core parked over it, and they're really trying to get the Zerg to overreact, and if they underreact, yeah, they'll go out there and kill the third, but it's look for that tactic on this map.
Roddy?
Cactus Valley can go two ways, right? Obviously, it's a map with a lot of choke points, so it can be very good for force fields, but Stalkers are kind of big units. So at the same time, you can't really drop all those force fields and have 25 Stalkers shooting at a Zerg army at the same time. I definitely expect it on Coda, though. I kind of feel that Coda is the trademark let's go Sentry Blink Stalker style. And last but not least, Terraform is a map where we see a little bit of everything. Sometimes we see macro-oriented builds, but I also wouldn't be super shocked to see maybe a Stargate into a 7-gate all-in, you know, just try to finish it like that.
I mean, you talked a little bit about how Lilbow is going to be approaching this, but how's Jaedong going to?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think on Coda it's become pretty classic. Not only is this map so repetitive in terms of the players constantly going to it, but in PvZ, we see a lot of like Hydra Ling attacking the third base, and it's all about that low ground, it's all about capitalizing on that fight. And we've seen Protosses on both ends of this, where they defend perfectly and they take a big advantage, or just too many sentries die and then the wagon wheels fall off.
Would you say that this game is the biggest game so far that we've seen over the last couple of days?
Yeah, I
or
definitely think it's very hyped. Like, I think all the people at home, you know, all the Frenchies, you know, they'll be definitely behind Lilbow, and Jaedong always has a lot of fans in Korea, outside of Korea as well. So this is a very big game, and also there's so much on the line. Like you mentioned it, we saw the standings. Both of them have a shot at BlizzCon, and this is not us, you know, creating the fake hype. No, they've done it before. They've won tournaments. They've gone very far. If they finish top 2 over here, or even win the entire thing, they're pretty much going.
And they both really want it, by the way. Jaedong not making it to BlizzCon would be an embarrassment. Lilbow is on the cusp of being that one foreigner to do it.
And to tie in that group, I mean, 4GG's in the exact same boat too, but one of them will be eliminated from this group, which is devastating. Well, let's check in with the predictions now. As our commentators have decided to swing one way or the other. Who's chosen what? Because we have a 6-2 in favor of Lilbow here. 2 people choosing Jaedong, and it's Rotterdam and Colaris.
Well, the last time it was just Rotterdam and Colaris, it went right. So James, I'm happy about that pick.
But you've gone against Jaedong, Jeff.
Look,
I know. Come on. This is a very rare occasion because I've never known In Control to choose not Jaedong.
Been getting a lot of crap on the Reddits, on the forums. They're like, Jeff doesn't have a mind other than Jaedong. So I figured if I pick the other guy to win, my percentage goes up if I'm right. And if I'm wrong, I still win because Jaedong won.
Whoa, next level In Control.
Whoa, I did it.
You have chosen him.
Yeah, no, I kind of feel in a couple of the biggest series that Lilbow has played against some of those absolute top Zergs, that sometimes he loses track of what he's best at, you know, and he doesn't go back to the builds that we were just discussing, but he suddenly does something very wild, and I think we're going to see a very well-prepared Jaedong, and just a Jaedong that should be capable of shutting it down one way or the other. How he's going to do it, I really don't know.
I think it's fair to say he's a hater of the European scene, I think, honestly.
I wouldn't go that far, Jeff. But let's find out which one of these two to my left is going to be right. Either Rotterdam's going to pull further ahead in the predictions, or In Control sinking very, very deep so far. You got to say.
All right, well, thank you guys here as we now get into this, of course. And we do have the Tyrant going up against a non-Korean who is looking to be in the best spot in those chances to BlizzCon moving on forward. So our first map here is going to be Cactus Valley. Todd, I'm looking forward to this one.
So am I, man. And I feel like this match, Jaedong, he said in the interview that he likes to play against cheesy players. He likes to plan a defense. Now, can he plan a defense against a 3-base Protoss timing that Lilbow loves to do? Let's find out.
Yep, let's indeed. As we get into game number 1 here between Jaedong and Lilbow, one of these players will be moving on to the winners match here between them. And obviously, a big, big moment. Both of these guys have their sights on BlizzCon. It's Jaedong here. It would be a tragedy if he was not able to make it for himself. As we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner, it is our blue Zerg representing Evil Geniuses. It is Jaedong. And down to the bottom left-hand corner, one of the best non-Korean hopes in the World Championship Series in 2015. Representing Team Millennium, it is Lilbow. Already, he is making some moves.
Yeah, currently sitting in 25th position here in the WCS World Rankings. Lilbow here with a very, very deep run, a grand finals, or even a win. Definitely will make a huge step towards qualifying here for BlizzCon and the World Finals at the end of the year here. But now, he's gonna need his best build, and by the look of things, He's going to be opening with the Forge here. Just one single probe scout because he saw the Overlord here of Jaedong at the 12 o'clock position. And now he knows that if there is a hatchery first, he can just try and cannon rush that natural. But there isn't going to be. Jaedong adjusted. Not sure if he was planning to go for a spawning pull from the start, but either way, it's going to work out pretty well for him here to go for that pull first and then going for the hatchery at the natural.
Yeah, I think the drone moved out towards the natural location, but then upon the Overlord actually spotting it, he was decided to pull on back, knowing that this probe was quite early and didn't really want to take any significant damage, or even just barely lose the game out to something like a crazy old cannon rush.
Yeah, this is what Jaedong mentioned in the interview. He loves to figure out what his opponent's up to and then defend it. And then from there, he knows exactly what he has to do to win a game from when the time he finally gets ahead. So if Lilbow was to try anything special here, and he already has here with this cannon rush that he wanted to go for, I feel like Jaedong, as soon as he identifies it, he's going to increase his chances of defending it by a lot. But Lilbow already having opened like this, it kind of feels like it's a really good position here for Jaedong already, because he's going to be able to drone up safely for the longest of times. He's going to start a third hatchery here, and he's probably pretty happy with the way things turns out already here in map number 1.
Going for that hat-trick, getting that on down here. And Lilbow, I mean, what are you expecting from him, Todd? Are you expecting him to go to the later stages of the game, or are you expecting him to try and do something like we saw against Hydra in the final of WCS Season 2, trying to mix it up and get a bit aggressive?
Usually Lilbow always mixes it up a minimum. The Lilbow build in itself is a 3-base Blink Stalker.
Yeah.
Timing with 9 gateways and only 5 gases. So I'm expecting to see this at least one time. Now, because of the way Lilbow opened, it's not necessarily sure he's going to go for something like that. This might encourage him to do something a little bit more on the, I guess, all-in side of things, especially on a map like this, where like you can hide something in the back of your main rail line and then make sure it doesn't get scouted by getting a Stalker and shutting down any kind of Overlord scout. So Jaedong, in this case, he's going to have to work a lot to make sure he sees whatever's coming, I guess, from Lilbow.
Do you have that Cybernetics car going down in the main base here for Lilbow? Obviously, all of that little things have been slowed down slightly because he did go for a Forge opener. It's not necessarily the quickest of gateway Cybernetics cores that it could have been, but Ling scouting on around here, and Lilbow does have a beautiful keyboard.
Oh, it is beautiful. He actually got inspired to get that from Funka.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Funka lent his keyboard to Lilbow in a tournament. I think it might have been... Was it Toronto? There was one tournament, I remember, where Funka lent... Yeah, I think was he nodding just now, Funka?
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's a yes.
Yeah.
He's communicating with us through his observing.
Wow.
This is next level.
That is pretty next level, yeah. He's been trying all this time, can't say anything, and just has to give us little shit camera shakes and things like that, bless him. But Stargate's going to go down here by Lilbow to try and start things off here.
Yeah, that's interesting. Usually you don't really see too much Stargate play, I feel, out of Lilbow. He's definitely more of a Twilight Council Blink Stalker play kind of guy. And now this could be a number of things. Almost every time, though, it's going to be for one or more oracles to try and kill a few drones here. And they're already having a Forge. This is very encouraging to maybe try and get something like a +1 behind this and some kind of 2 or 3 gateway zealots. But Lilbow is definitely capable also to, I guess, throw down something like a quick robo, tech to Colossus quickly, and then doing either a 2-base timing or even some kind of third nexus that he won't necessarily use. That's why it's so hard to play against him. He's super tricky.
Perfect timing on this Overlord, gets in there, spots the Oracle in time. Unfortunately, Sentry not the quickest at being able to kill off those Overlords, so that did hurt him and hinder him in regards to cleaning that up. But there's the Spore Crawlers on the way here for Jaedong. He is totally on lockdown, getting himself the layer on the way, as well as just saturating all these 3 bases.
Yeah, getting this scout here is going to be massive for Jaedong. He can just start spores, make sure he's safe. He's going to lose a second Overlord, though. Which wasn't... I mean, he already had seen the Stargate, so a little bit weird. He didn't even start any additional Overlord just yet, so the supply block is going to get very close here for the Dong.
Roach War and Evolution Chamber already going down, so anticipating any follow-ups that would come along from that, but also, you know, committing to that range style is going to be very, very helpful, although he is slightly supply blocked here with 3 Overlords on the way, trying to get out of that position. Very, very important so he doesn't get slowed down at all.
Yeah, that wasn't the best here. Lilbow, actually, this kind of reminds me of his Protoss versus Terran, where sometimes he gets an Oracle, and even if this doesn't do any damage, he just keeps it alive the whole time. Uses Revelation to see where the Terran army is going, and then behind this, just takes normally to 3rd base, Blink Stalker, Colossus. So there's a chance here. He still does the push I talked about earlier, where he makes a whole bunch of gateways. Usually it's 9, goes up to 5 gases, and then does the timing with +2 and blink, and tries to end it with perfect force fields.
But at the same time, you know, they mentioned on the desk over there, you know, that's the kind of thing you come to expect from Lilbow. And Jaedong, as the player that he is, has to have done his homework in regards to being able to deal with that. That was a good save on that drone, actually, but regardless.
It's funny, I talked a little bit with him before this match here, or a little bit earlier in the day while he was warming up backstage. And I was like, so how is it going right now against Zerg? And his answer was very simple. I'm making Blink Stalkers and I'm killing everybody. That's what he said to me.
Wow. All right, then.
And look at this, only one of the gases here on the third base. Lilbow, right now, he's, how many gates is that? 4. He's got 2 more in the main, so that's 6. If he goes up to 9, there's a very good chance he's going to be the standard Lilbow push. Doesn't necessarily have to be right now. Gets a Void Ray, actually, with this. I guess he saw a lot of Roaches headed his way. Well, it's a bit unusual.
I mean, surely doesn't Jaedong already kind of understand that it could just be a lot of Blink Stalkers? Because he's getting Pathogen Glands extremely fast here to help out with the Infestors, to lock them down.
And the thing is, actually, this is brilliant against this kind of build, where if you can get a Chain Fungal on the sentries, you're going to be able to do great here as Jaedong.
All right, well.
Not sure what the Spire is for exactly.
Maybe a
some kind of
afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, Jaedong is not committed to anything right now, so maybe he's waiting until he sees what else is coming out of here of Lilbow, and then decides whether he wants to go into Mutas or commit more to Infestors.
So many gateways, extra 3 being planted down here in a moment. Completing these full wall-offs, he doesn't want any run-bys to come along and try and deal with some damage while he's establishing this huge, huge Stalker force.
That Void Ray is going to chase everything away. +1 melee attacks here starts for Jaedong, who's banked so much gas. Oh my god. 1500 gas here.
Is he really waiting to go into Mutas?
Yeah, he might just start 15 Mutas now and then harass all over the place here. On a map like this, it's actually really hard to blink between the main and third base here. The thing is, Lilbow, there's, I mean, with the amount of gateways he made, there's no Colossus transition on the way, no Templar Archives, he's going to start moving out, he wants to go for a timing, he's proxying pylons in the middle of the map and he's going for it.
This is going to be a bit scary here. I mean, he's got 18 Mutalisks on the way, but they are not straight-up engagement units that he necessarily wants against this. Once Guardian Shield goes down and is able to slow down the damage being done to Blink Stalkers alone, it's not the best of spots, but how well are the Lings going to be able to complement is the big question. If you've got a full 360 surround, that could work. Yeah,
the Mutas. I really wonder what the Mutas are going to go here. Does Jaedong try and counter-attack, in which case he exposes himself to a base trade, or does he try to fight? I think he might just try to fight here against this if he gets enough, but Roach just gets caught in the middle of the map here.
Good blink forward, seals those in with the force fields as well. Here come the Mutalisks going in for that engagement. They're focusing down the sentries, bringing those down as quickly as he can. Needs to get on out of there, losing a few Mutalisks for that, for just the Stalkers alone.
But Jaedong lost so much to do this here, and army supply here. Lilbow is now going to be ahead. This is a disaster of a situation for Zerg to be in. Jaedong might get desperate here and try and place the base trade, but he's going to be spotted by this one Oracle there, and even revealed.
And now Jaedong has just got to keep his opponent back somehow, some way, but he is kind of slowly getting pinned into the corner here. Gets himself the Mothership Core, has to run away with the Mutalisks, cannot engage this army directly. That's so many Stalkers.
Yeah, I mean, Lilbow at this point, I think he's just going to be happy to attack no matter what and send back in defense whatever he needs to send back here to make sure he can defend properly against those Mutas. Jaedong's trying to buy time and he's doing a good job of that, but I just don't know that it's going to be enough.
Still so many Stalkers. Gets himself that pylon that's going to be able to reinforce, though. They're getting that probe would be very important as well, because there's not that many pylons close by here to be able to reinforce. As it's going to take actually this engagement. Doesn't really have too many Lings, but he's going to try and wrap around up towards the top. Blink has been used here. Those force fields preventing those Lings from actually even getting on top of this. Army supply at the moment vastly in favor of Lilbow, who blinks forwards into the Muta flock and is able to kill a few more.
Yeah, this Muta transition here, a huge misread out of Jaedong against a Protoss player who loves to mass Stalkers and then go for attacks. You don't do that. You don't go for Mutas. You get more ground army, I guess more ground army, and you try and defend properly. But in this case, Jaedong is getting completely chased down here, and this is not going well. Even though he has a decent flock of Mutas, there's just too many Stalkers.
And he's going to chase it all the way back here and continue to try and buy time, getting himself some of those reinforcements. But at the moment, you're looking at 39 Stalkers against 22 Mutalisks, and all the Mutalisks can do now is try and, again, buy time on the other side of the map. But I don't think Lilbow's going to fall for it for too long here.
Yeah, I think Lilbow is probably starting to realize that he's got enough here to just move across the map, try and take the fight, just blink back what he needs to blink back. Jaedong going for another surround, but a little bit miscalculated here with the the left-hand side, attacking in a little bit earlier. He wants to go for a base trade here, Jaedong.
Yeah.
If you can beat your opponent's army, you shouldn't try to beat it. You should just go for the base trades. And in this case, I think he's identified that there was way too many stalkers.
Anything else just doesn't make sense here for Jaedong with the army that he has. At the moment, the Lings are going to flood forwards in towards this small little gap and try and put on some pressure against this location, but he needs to send drones everywhere. He needs to expand in other weird locations, but doesn't have the money to do that. The drones are going to evacuate on out.
Yeah.
Jaedong is going to go for the base trade. We've seen him in a lot of these weird, wonky base trade situations before with Mutalisks, but against that many Stalkers, I'm not sure.
Yeah, with the supply that Lilbow has right now, he needs literally a monumental mistake here to lose this series.
Yes, he does. Very, very difficult. At least he's able to shut down that Stargate from actually producing anything else. But even though Stalker's warping in alone back at home with +2 weapons against just this small...
Oh, Lilbow's not moving his main army. Can't be wasting too much time there, but I mean, back at home, he's not doing too bad. He's dealing with those Mutas right now quite nicely, but there might be enough of them to kill all of these Stalkers.
How many Mutalisks are we at the moment? Still 21 on the map against 43 Stalkers. Yes, he will be able to kill off that small army.
Yeah, but those are across the map, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Also expanding down towards the bottom right-hand corner here is Jaedong. The army supplies are very, very close at the moment.
Lilbow is chasing a bunch of drones on the bottom right-hand side here.
Oh,
these are most of the drones that Jaedong managed to escape with. I don't think he's got too many more on the map. Actually, yeah, he doesn't.
Uh-oh.
This is a big deal here.
He needs to be able to kill off this base. He needs to shut down all the production here. And at least, I mean, he doesn't have like a mothership core to be able to recall to any of these locations once he kills off the Nexus.
It's like they're racing to kill each other's walkers the fastest. And right now, Lilbow is killed 66.
Jeez, that is so many workers going down in this small period of time where...
Oh, that hatchery on the bottom right-hand side is going to die. Jaedong has a drone here on his third base. That's like the lone drone that he's got left. But he's not even going to have enough minerals to start another hatchery unless he cancels that one on the bottom right-hand side. Does he cancel? No, he does not. Oh my god.
Oh my, 2 probes are alive.
They're getting cut around the third base.
Is that the last drones?
No, there is one just below.
Okay, okay, so that's
the last one.
Drone.
He's going to lose it.
And he has lost it. So there's no more drones here for Jaedong at all.
He's trying to eliminate Lilbow. He's actually going to be incredibly close. Lilbow is down to his last few buildings. He's got a probe on the bottom right-hand side ready to start a Nexus.
Yeah.
He needs to start it now, though.
And it will be so hard to actually find. There's no more buildings here for Jaedong. This is going to be so difficult. He's got an extractor that's still alive, a few more extractors, a spore crawler, but not much left other than that. And finding this base alone, the Lings are trying to fan out, trying to find where the base is, but I don't think they're going to be in time.
Wow, Jaedong. There might be a way he can win this, actually, if he catches Stalkers down on the map, kills them, and then goes for the fight on that Nexus, but
these are the only extractors left.
Yeah, but I don't think Lilbow has time to eliminate him, because there is one extractor around the fourth base that he had just below his main base that's going to be protected, so Jaedong, I can't believe he might win this here. This is going to come down to this last fight, I guess.
24 Mutalisks and a lot of Lings here against these Stalkers, trying to seal them off there with the force fields. Lings, though, do they have 2-2 during all of this? They did have 2-2, doing a little bit more than you would expect here. Or 2-1 even, I should say, as the army supplied 22 Mutalisks against 13 Stalkers. God. If he's able to kill off all of these Stalkers with these Mutalisks, he's going to be able to make this recovery in this position that he'd put himself in the mid-game. Ling and Mutalisk is going to be able to beat the Stalkers. GG! Jaedong takes game number 1. Unbelievable! He forces himself into this base trade scenario and then is able to win it? I cannot believe.
Unbelievable here. Lilbow, he had so many Stalkers with +2 and Blink already. He left everything across the map. Even his army standing the way it did for just a second, that was a huge mistake. He wasted a lot of time doing this, and in the end, there was 2 extractors left for Jaedong. Imagine if that hadn't happened. There was a way here he could eliminate Jaedong earlier, but instead he was like, I'm going to pull back, make sure I can defend my Nexus. No, you needed to go all in and try to eliminate your opponent earlier.
That was quite a crazy situation there in game number 1. We're going to go to a short break, and when we are back, it will be game number 2 here between Jaedong and Lilbow. Welcome back to the World Championship Series here between Jaedong and Lilbow now in Group D. And after what we just witnessed, I really didn't expect JD to be able to make the recovery. Despite my prediction for this one, I was really dreading the loss there from him, considering the way he'd opened up against an extremely potent style there from Lilbow.
This is the crazy part about it too. We're like so excited. We're like, what an amazing game and comeback. But Jaedong is probably like, just another day at the office, boys. This is what I do here.
This is what he does
What else
all
did you
day.
expect? Me to lose to this, really?
That was, yeah. I mean, that's why he's JD, I guess. That's why he's the tyrant. He somehow makes these miraculous recoveries. But then we can now get into game number 2 here between these two players. 3 players in Group D here are looking for the road to BlizzCon to come true. These are 2 of them. As we have spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner, it is our blue Zerg representing Evil Geniuses in colors. It is Jaedong. And up to the top left-hand corner, one of the French hopes here in the World Championship Series, representing Team Millennium, it is Lilbow.
And Lilbow on this map, usually, even though he goes for a pylon down the ramp like this, it's a lot of the time for a gateway with it. And then if he scouts something even just a little bit greedy, sometimes even just a hatchery before he pull, he's going to chrono boost out a Zealot, run it across the map and try and do some damage with it. Now, in the previous game he opened with a Forge, wasn't quite lucky to catch a hatchery first from Jaedong. Maybe this time around he tries it again, but I don't think so.
Well, Jaedong at the moment here against Lilbow. It's funny because looking at game number 1, I had anticipated Jaedong coming in very well prepared, very well versed against the kind of mass stalker style we were going to see out from Jaedong there. And in the end, when we were halfway through, I'm like, well, okay, I guess he hasn't. But somehow, some way, in those kind of situations, being able to make that kind of recovery, it's like it's like a 1 in 1,000 opportunity to be able to do that.
He managed the base rate beautifully, to be honest. Jaedong. Like he split his units in the perfect place, and then trying to defend back at home for Lilbow meant that a lot of stalkers got trapped there and killed eventually.
Yeah.
And I think Jaedong reacted perfectly to that as well. Like he regrouped with not just Lynx but Mutas as well, killed those, reduced the stalker count as much as he could, and then catching half of Lilbow's army on the map before the other half was there was also a big deal. So Jaedong, as much as the decision itself to go for... nice hiding spot here for the spawning pool, but yeah, as much as the decision here to go for Mutas in the previous game I think was wrong against somebody who's just massing Blink Stalkers and wanting to attack, in the end he salvaged the situation so well. And Lilbow, he was going to go for his trademark Zealot, but I guess since he saw that there was a pull not that late, he's just going to cancel and be happy to start a Nexus instead.
Good scouting there by Lilbow. We do have the 3rd base going down here for Jaedong as well. He's always been quite greedy about that. Of course, we are on the countdown of the cinematic reveal here for Legacy of the Void. 92 hours, 40 minutes, and 30 seconds until we see that. And personally, I love all Blizzard cinematics. They're some of the best in the business.
I do as well. I'm not going to sleep until this happens, actually.
No, that's probably my fault. But anyway, we do have now this going to be mined out here. As we do see him just grabbing some gas, getting things going. And do we see like a Stargate opening come out here from Lilbow or something like that again?
Usually, this is definitely, I think, a good time in this situation and with these openers to go for more of a Sentry, Baguette Protoss style with the 3rd base. Like, I feel like with the way the previous game went, Lilbow now, he should definitely be willing to try and kind of find himself in the same scenario, but in an even better position, because this time around he didn't open with a Forge. And yeah, starting a Sentry here already, I think if Lilbow just does his usual 3rd base, Twilight on the 3rd base as part of his wall, Blink +2, 9 gateways, 5 gas timing, he's gonna be able to do really well, I think, on this map.
Transferring his queen on over there now and getting 2 more out so that he can continue those lava injects. And also one thing that's important here for Jaedong, get that creep spread going nice and fast here against Lilbow. The further your creep is out forwards, the slower it makes any kind of push later on from Lilbow if he's wanting to put proxy pylons forwards and try and reinforce from the middle of the map.
You know what would be funny if, like, later on we see a War Prism flying to the main or something, and then the spawning pole is like the first thing that's like completely out of position and gets sniped.
It's a very weird spot. Very uncommon indeed, and you know there's a reason they're oftentimes behind mineral lines, etc., to put them in a more defensive location.
All right, at least one more gate here will be added on, so it's going to be the 3 for Lilbow for now. We should be seeing Mothership Core here starting in a moment. This is, by the way, the original Baguette build here, where when you have about 15 mineral probes on your natural, that's when you start the Mothership Core, usually in your main. And then you go up to 4 sentries before Warp Gate finishes. And then as soon as Warp Gate finishes, you warp in 2 or 3 more. Usually, though, you get a Forge with this much earlier, so...
And then press across the map, right? Wasn't there, like, small move
Well, I
outs
mean,
with
after
that?
you started 3rd base, yeah.
Yeah.
So the Forge is gonna go down now, the natural for Lilbow. Still no Mothership Core. He really delayed it a lot, actually.
Yeah, he delayed it quite a long time in the previous game. That's why when Funker was nodding to us, he was actually over a Nexus. It just so happened to be at the same time, and there was still no Mothership Core out there for that part as well, so I was a little bit confused as to whether he was highlighting that, but that's a lot of Zerglings on the way for Jaedong. He is looking to power himself towards that 3rd base here, and maybe do something with that.
The thing is, usually you're gonna have enough sentries here to deal with this with the force fields. Lilbow, though, he only has 1 pylon as part of his wall at the natural, so there is a chance Lings sneak by. If Jaedong spams properly behind that Zealot, which I think might be the plan here.
I don't think he has full vision like of these Lings actually moving forward.
Yeah,
This
look,
could be
he's gonna
very,
spam.
He's going to try and go on through here. How much is he going to be able to get done? He separates some off there, looking to go towards
Oh, he's
that
gonna get
pylon.
force fielded.
Oh,
my
gets
god.
every single Ling trapped in there. The sentries, yeah, trapped out, but there's
Can
not
he
enough
force
Lings on
field
the other
behind the
side.
Zealot? Yes. Lilbow is going to be killing so many of those
Wow.
Lings here. I don't even think he cares about getting surrounded. Spire started back at home for Jaedong.
Tries to get onto some of these sentries here as a kind of compensation move, and at the same time is expending a lot of energy on these sentries.
A huge thing here that happened for Jaedong that actually he might have been able to kind of anticipate is that Lilbow almost always keeps Robo, so he's not going to have any observer to scout that Spire, and since he had to force field so much, look, he's trying to bait more force fields here. Right now, Jaedong, he doesn't care about losing these links, he just wants to make sure that this Spire tech is going to be hidden all the way, and now Lilbow eventually starts his Twilight Council, but he's not going to have any idea about this Spire for the longest time.
Gets himself a free sentry, but at the same time, it's not free anymore as he gets sealed in there with a lot of those Lings. He knows that we're going to be dying off during all of that.
The sentry with the most energy right now has 56. There is no way it's going to see these Mutas coming now. Jaedong, he had planned this from the start. He's a genius. Even if it fails, he's a genius. I'm sorry.
Well, we'll find out in just a bit. With the Spire finishing up very soon, like if he doesn't have more Stalkers available, all he has is sentries right now.
Yeah.
He's lost 54 Zerglings to the
Yes,
2
but he hit
sentries.
his build, guys.
Exactly. It's like this is very interesting to watch. Look at that, 800 gas just about to bank up as this Spire's about to pop. Jaedong is looking to launch across the map here and really put on the hurt.
Yeah, this is like Lilbow not knowing. In the end, he's just going to be getting a lot of Blink Stalkers anyway. He's on his... Oh, he starts a Robo, actually. Interesting. Usually Lilbow skips that for a very long time. We see all the additional gateways starting. He's going to go up to 8, 9. It's the Lilbow build.
This is a bit scary at the moment here. These units are moving across. Extra Lings are on the way. Could he combat this army? I mean, there's not really that much anti-air.
Oh yeah, he can. Like, he's going to force a recall for sure.
Sees it, and he's got to get away very soon here with these Lings as well as the Mutalisks about to come in. Of course, he does have force fields. He's going to throw down the Guardian Shield here. Needs to recall out, though. Very, very important. He gets himself a sentry just before they were able to get on out.
That means no photon of a charge here. That Mothership Core is going to be on 65 energy, which is a big deal. Against Mutas like this, you need some photon of a charge to try and defend against them flying into your mineral lines, killing probes. Lilbow cancels the Robo on the 3rd base, warps in a sentry there. He's going to try to defend everywhere at the same time, starts cannons in every single base.
Finds himself sentries as well. Good pickup. That's 200 gas down the pan already here for Jaedong, looking for more damage, trying to find some angles towards the back of these mineral lines where there is some dead air.
Oh, I was wondering about this. Does Jaedong want to play with just pure Mutas base trade with a lot of spines, or does he want to transition? And look at this. Hydra then goes down Ro16 as well. He's going to want to transition here out of this, knowing that right now Lilbow, he has only one priority. That's defending and massing on as many Stalkers as he can.
Roach Hydra against that with the 71 workers across a potential 4th base that he's getting up and running down to the bottom left here. He's going to be doing okay. As long as he's able to find the good angles here for these Mutalisks to hit and keep his opponent pinned in and even supply blocking him, this could be good here for Jaedong.
Yeah, Jaedong's economy here is exactly where he wants it to be. 72 drones to 64 probes. He's going to be on 4 bases, saturating that 4th base. That 4th base. Exactly as he wants to. 15 Hydralisks start behind. He might go for a timing. Jaedong here. This is something that I talked about earlier that Snoot has been doing as well. Getting a bunch of Mulas here and then going for some kind of Roach Hydra timing behind this.
I mean, if we're looking at the upgrades at the moment, 1-1 on the way here for Jaedong with Roach speed. Those could all time out quite nicely. Starting them all basically at the same time to try and get them going very quickly here. All in tandem with one another. So that could come true here, Todd.
I feel like making units is right either way here for Jaedong, no matter what, because whether he attacks and has a plan to do that, or he gets attacked and ends up defending because he's got enough, it's just brilliant either way.
How much does Lilbow know about the army composition right now of his opponent? Because he's tried to deny those hallucinated phoenixes a lot.
I don't think he knows much.
Yeah, he sees some Mutalisks still looking to put on the counter pressure, as it were, keep the army back. But the Stalkers are moving forwards on towards the creep here, so he knows the positioning of them against this.
Yeah, flying around. Oh, is there enough? That's 4 cannons right there. He never... Oh no, the Mothership Core is there, I guess.
Really good counter pressure here. The Roaches and Hydras are going to be able to greet this quite easily, and doesn't want to be going up that ramp though. There are some force fields. He needs to pull back.
Oh, if Lilbow had been looking, oh my god.
And he actually catches a good chunk of them in there. They're trying to isolate out some of these units at the front. Jaedong moving forwards with the Roaches and Hydras into this army at the moment. He's replenishing with more Hydras as well as Roaches. All Lilbow, though, has to do is be very cost efficient with his blink control at the front.
He's got more army supply. Going to be chasing down this army here, trapping some Hydralisk and Roaches as well. Jaedong is in trouble.
Yeah, a lot of trouble. Lilbow is 104 army supply against 83 at the moment. And he could even get on towards some of this tech if he's not careful. That natural, if he's able to breach that location. And also, all of Jaedong's army is kind of disjointed from one another at the moment.
Yeah, Lilbow, he's got so many Stalkers here. He's definitely reached that critical mass here, where he's going to be able to blink back, 50. Have a lot of those survive, keep on doing a lot of damage. The Mutas in the middle of the map got caught and sniped. Lilbow is up to 50 Stalkers against 12 Hydras and 13 Roaches.
It's the Lilbow prophecy. He just keeps making Blink Stalkers and everyone dies. This is... that's a lot of Blink Stalkers right now. It's very, very difficult for Jaedong to hold on against here. But once again, every single time he wants to move in, he is choked up a little bit. That being said, the Blink Stalkers don't have the best position to blink back because these armies are coming from both sides. But there's just too many Blink Stalkers. Difficult to deal with. As those drones come off the line here, it's 100 army supply against 62. There you go, GG. Lilbow ties up the series with Blink Stalkers, as he would, tried and true.
Yeah, used his one main build here, and in the end, Jaedong, even though he hit his build, he had to, I guess, slow down his economy a little bit more to do that. And going for Mutas against Blink, I mean, usually, as much as he salvaged the situation very nicely in map number 1, ideally, when you go for Mutas like this, you're kind of hoping that the Protoss is going for Colossus, which no Protoss ever do anymore. So on a smaller map like this, where you're going to be attacked for sure, Lilbow set up perfectly with cannons in every base, and then this time properly went into the attack instead of just being dragged around the middle of the map, and then finally attacking a little bit too late and not managing the base trade as well as he could have in map number 1.
Well, the question is now, with it being 1-1 the score, who is going to be moving on to the winners match? We will find out right after this short commercial break. Always a pleasure to be able to get to cast players of this caliber here when Jaedong and Lilbow now face off against one another in game number 3 coming up here for the World Championship Series. And we will be going into this next game in just a moment between these two, but right now, with how it looked there in game number 2, that was how are you supposed to deal with that many Stalkers considering the opener there from Jaedong?
It's really tough. Yeah, I don't think you can open Mutas against this. And in this case, I feel like a lot of French players, they want to play mono battles, man. You had Firecake with his Swarm Host, Marine Lord with his Ravens, and now Lilbow with his Blink Stalkers, which T. Drogo is actually a big fan of as well. So
yeah,
definitely interesting. I feel Jaedong, it's definitely time to start and playing a little bit different here. No more Spire against somebody that loves Blink Stalkers so much, please.
Let's get into it then. It will be game number 3 here between Evil Geniuses and Millennium. Jaedong and Lilbow fighting off against one another for a spot in the winners match here of Group D. As we get onto Terraform, down towards the bottom right-hand corner, we have our blue Zerg representing Evil Geniuses. It is Jaedong. And up to the top left-hand corner, we have our red Protoss representing Team Millennium. It is Lilbow.
Another pylon down the ramp here for Lilbow. Is it going to be for Gateway or Forge here this time around?
Well, I'll find out in a moment. I would expect a Gateway to come out from him here, but you never know. You never know here from Lilbow. He's mixed things up nicely in the past against Zergies, and I think he finds a lot of comfort in this matchup compared to almost every other in the game.
It's very interesting to see what Jaedong attempted in the first 2 games here with the Spire heavy play, because usually, like, Jaedong is the one guy that in WCS will study his opponents very hard and then counter them properly and beat them.
Yeah.
And personally, I don't feel like against somebody like Lilbow, it's very wise to go for Spire as much as we've seen Jaedong attempt it. Maybe it's just because, I guess in general, Lilbow is just that good against Spire, because even though Jaedong won the first map, he was still awful close.
Yeah, it was down to the wire, that's for sure. This probe's now moving on across here to have a little look around.
Remember, by the way, Jaedong, in the round of 32, he beat Hero Marine and Showtime. Two pretty big European names, especially Showtime, so definitely capable of putting up a really good fight against Protoss. Second pylon goes down the ramp here for Lilbow.
Oh, really?
Before Nexus. Usually you don't really do this, but I guess he wanted to build up his probe count a lot before starting the Nexus here to make sure that he can continue here with that. And in this case, seeing that he was a hatchery into a spawning pool, I don't think he's going to be getting a Zealot and instead starting his Nexus a little bit earlier.
One thing that Lilbow's always been good at as well with his usual Stalker style is almost always focusing a lot of Chrono Boost into those Nexus early on, getting himself up to a really strong economical position very, very quickly. It sounds easy. It sounds easy to just be able to focus your Chrono Boosts on that, but you oftentimes see Lilbow really doing very well in keeping up with those worker counts.
Such a beautiful keyboard.
Yeah, you like that keyboard?
Yeah.
Is it as beautiful as my office keyboard, though? That's the big question.
I don't think a SpongeBob keyboard can be beat by anything, Lars. No.
I don't know. I don't know, man. I want a SpongeBob SquarePants mechanical keyboard. Right now, it's not. So I need to work on that with a sponsor or something. But maybe one day. Maybe one day.
Don't give them ideas, please. Jaedong, it seems like he's always very happy to go up to 3 bases very quickly, and I guess from a player of his caliber who's been around forever, who's one of the fastest players out there, perfectly makes sense to try and, I guess, hit all of those injects, pull ahead in supply somehow. It's interesting, actually, that Jaedong, he mentioned that he likes to play against cheesy players, and when you say that, usually it means like you like to be attacked into so that you can defend. But so far in this series, he's played pretty darn aggressive himself. He's made quite a few units early on in those games, you know, starting with those Lynx in the previous game. Before that, he made a bunch of Roaches to try and run around for a little bit. So definitely hasn't tried a single time to drone up very heavily in the first place, even maybe taking any risks, and then later on going to units.
One thing's for sure, though, is that Lilbow is just using his usual style as his crutch here in this series. It's the way he's going to play. I wouldn't be surprised if he went back to the same build again here, just goes straight to those Blink Stalkers, uses those as the true go-to, because it really looked impenetrable there against what we were seeing from Jaedong in that game. Although 2 extra gateways.
Yeah, Lilbow made a Stalker here after the initial sentry.
Oh, it's only in the back.
I really wonder why. I think maybe he hoped that an Overlord would be sent in a little bit too early by Jaedong so he could snipe it easily, because before the Sentry kind of took forever, like you pointed out, that they are not the best units to take out Overlords too quickly. But in this case, no Overlord was sent in just yet, and Lilbow behind this, he's just getting 2 gateways. Maybe he wants to throw off Jaedong a little bit.
Yeah.
If you spot a Stalker, there is a chance there's going to be a Stargate or maybe some kind of DT play sometimes. So a lot of the time as a Zerg, you're going to have to get blind Spores, which in this case, Spores are starting.
Yeah.
That's a win here for Lilbow.
Definitely. It's you're hiding away something that is just usual, but then it instills the fear of God into Jaedong. Which, well, in the past he's known about, but we do have the Chrono Boost going down into Cybernetics. Corge trying to get that out, and we'll be able to warp in just a few units.
Yeah, Lair started, as well as Roach Warren, and when you vote 3 more gates are going to go down, 4 more gates. Lilbow.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's what he wanted to hide here. A little cheeky 7 gates.
Probe moving out towards this location, and I think overall he's making it look like he really wants to take this place.
It's interesting actually that it starts a little bit later than it would usually, at like 7:40, 7:30. And Lilbow, I think this might actually work. He starts an 8th gate here right now.
He started.
Jaedong spotted the 3rd Nexus, but didn't even try and check for a wall of which there isn't. There is only a single pylon there for Lilbow. So in this case, Lilbow is just gonna be hitting hard here. And Jaedong is, I don't think, going to be ready.
He started all of his extra gas geysers after that. He started a huge round of drones. Now he's going to start roaches here as all of this gears up. But this is going to be a lot of units hitting him very soon.
Lilbow is hitting it through an avenue here where there is no scout at all for Jaedong. Jaedong starts a 4th. He wants to start a 4th base here. He sent a drone there. Starts an infestation pit. You don't need tech against this. You need units, Jaedong.
Yeah.
You need to start a lot of units here right now.
Sees a probe up towards the top.
He's scouting with an overseer right now. He sees the additional gateways. Jaedong's going to start 28 Zerglings, but it's very, very late to start and adding units here.
Yeah, needs to buy time somehow, some way. Pylon's going to go down right on the edge of this creep. Perfect little launch pad here for Lilbow to move him forwards. That being said, actually it's Chemicals because the creep goes a little bit further forwards, but that's only 7 or so roaches with not that many lings.
Yeah, force fields are going to reign supreme for a very long time. Roach speed and Zergling speed is missing here. For Jaedong, he's getting +1 melee. This might not even finish on time. He's going to take so much damage here against these force fields and this massive army here of Lilbow.
He's really misread the situation at the moment as Jaedong is going to try and pull around to the left-hand side. Going to get cut up there, though, by some of the force fields. Some of those lings at the front are just going to get shredded away for free. And this 3rd base is sacrificed. There's no way he's able to behold this.
Yeah, Jaedong is in so much trouble. It's funny, actually, that he's got a base trying to go up just above this.
Yeah.
Like, in enemy territories, behind enemy territories. Jaedong's gonna get right back in there, gets force fielded in.
He is in a very, very bad position right now, definitely. The Lings and Roach is going to try and counterattack to seal off some of those pylons if they can, or even just, it looks like he's going to have to dart on away knowing that those stalkers could come back and easily clean that up. He needs to return every unit he can, but even these 3 Roaches alone being thrown away is not a good position at all for Jaedong.
Yeah, he needs way more Roaches here if he wants to hold this properly, but right now 72 army supply to 64. Again, force fields are going to be very, very important here. Jaedong is trying to hold on.
And looks like all the drones coming off the line here for Jaedong. He knows he's in desperate position, completely destroyed here in this game. Metabolic Boost is just finished, but it's not even going to matter. He has any Lings anyway against this huge, huge Stalker force here as Lilbow really blindsides Jaedong in this one. He sold the story perfectly, just giving them the hint of that 3rd Nexus of all of these drones. Try and mineral walk through to get the best surface area possible, but there is no way you're going to be able to stop all of those Stalkers. 72 army supply against 35 here, and Jaedong has been torn asunder. There is nothing left. GG. Lilbow is able to take the series 2-1 here and is able to advance on to the winners match in Group D. A very strong performance by him.
Congratulations to Lilbow there, and can't help but feel, Roddy, that he probably felt that could have been and should have been a 3-0.
Oh yeah, the game 1 was absolute bonkers, man. We're sitting here, we're screaming, it's like, who's winning, who's winning, he's winning, he's got it, no, yes, yeah, he still got it, and then suddenly Jaedong does the impossible, but in the end, just wasn't enough. Game number 2, pretty decisive victory, I would say, for Lilbow, and game number 3, yeah, it's that transitional turret.
Yeah. Home Story Cup shout out. Even Gamer 1, super exciting. Jaedong has become kind of the base trade exciter. Like, there's so many tournaments I can think of over the years where it's these amazing base trades. But it's kind of tough because even in that one, there was some weird decision making, like the decision to kind of waffle back and forth and fight in the middle of the map when he's very much so setting up a counterattack army on a map that begs for counterattacks. We all talked about this. He knows it. And the Protoss is stuck on Stalkers, and then these like really bad Phoenix came out. Like it was like Jaedong, take the game, take it, please.
Yeah.
And he did. And then for the rest of the series, unfortunately, Lilbow kind of went back to, well, unfortunately, if you're a Jaedong fan, great if you're a Lilbow fan. Lilbow went back to his tried and true, man. Blink Stalkers or Stalkers and Sentries. That is, he's the best. He's the best with those guys.
What was the divider between the both of them, do you feel, in this series? What made the difference for Lilbow?
I felt that Jaedong kind of played into Lilbow's build in game number 2. Like, I think that Lilbow is completely okay with playing against a soft Muda switch and then going into Roaches and Hydras. I think that only works if you do a crazy amount of damage early on, or you're so much richer. Because the moment you start producing those Roaches and Hydras, they have no upgrades at all. And you're fighting against Stalkers with +2, and a guy, like Jeff said, is absolutely phenomenal with Sentries. Guardian Shield is always going to be active. I know it's not very hard, but it's one of those small things. And his force fields, and especially the whole position that he always has, like whenever I walk around with that army composition, it just feels like I can't kill anything, you know, and Lilbow just makes it look so ridiculously easy.
I super agree with him. And there are other players where that switch to Roach Hydra ends up being the really cool decisive move. But because Lilbow is so good against that army composition, going from Muta to that doesn't seem to work against him. But we saw that if he adds Phoenix, he's not the best with him. And a lot of times he won't add the Phoenix, and then it becomes base trade. And Zerg should be pretty comfortable in that situation, especially if they prepare for it.
Even if you go back to the Season 2 finals, I felt that Hydra won multiple games because of stuff like that. You know, tech switches and base trading. And I feel the moment that Lilbow has to look at his own base very frequently, he's not in his element. He's in his element when he has a bunch of Blink Stalkers and Sentries, and he's on your side of the map.
Like we saw in Game 3.
Yeah, that's where he excels.
Yeah, I mean, in Game 3, Lilbow threw the bone and Jaedong chased it, and it was an easy victory for him. It played out perfectly.
Jaedong, even like he didn't really know it was there. The timing was coming. We know that because he took the 4th base. You wouldn't do that if that's coming.
Infestation Pit.
Infestation Pit. But even so, he had like some units, and it just kind of shows in that matchup how close Jaedong was to getting the right intel, like scouting the 3rd and then kind of cutting corners like he did, where he's like, okay, 3rd base means 3rd base. But for us Protoss, it's like 3rd base doesn't always mean 3rd base.
Was it Jaedong's mistake, or was Lilbow's excellence in execution?
Goes both ways. Like, obviously, Lilbow was selling it very convincingly. Like, it's easy for us because we've got all the information. We like 7 gates, stop making drones. As a Zerg player, you know, Lilbow did a very good job in selling that. Nothing strange going on over here. You got time until my blink kicks in, until +2 is ready. So well done by Lilbow. But at the same time, as Jaedong, you can't just go up to 66 drones. Even if you would go Ling Hydra, even then 66 I think is a little bit too much. You would have to cut at 60. But when you want to defend with Roaches and Lings, you got to cut at like 50 something.
And we saw that too. Like, he scouts the 3rd, and then he makes 7 or more drones, and then 20 Lings. If those 20 Lings are out earlier, and the 3rd scouted, but then he's like kind of harassing it, like, okay, what are you doing to stop this? And there's no real second pylon, as the boys point out, casting, and like 9 sentries come over to stop them. All of a sudden you go, oh, okay, this guy is making an army, actually. This isn't a real 3rd. You pile on the Roaches, get Burrow, which is something Kevin was talking about too when we were watching this. Would have been a great upgrade. And all of a sudden you're able to hold it off.
I mean, one of the best ways ever to shut gateway pushes down like that, when there is no blink, when there is no robotics facility, is Burrow as well. But also, you don't start fighting on your side of the map. You start fighting in the middle, or the moment that those units move out. Because then, as a Protoss, you have to worry about that little probe, because the probe is everything that you have. So you're gonna slow him down. You buy more time for yourself, and then suddenly Zerg has a 30, 40, 50 supply army lead, and that's when you can actually lose a couple units to force fields, but you'll still be okay. But most of the time, when the fighting starts at your 3rd base, it's already too late.
Well, Lilbow takes this game 2-1 and moves through to the winners match, and we'll play one of the times. We can check in with the bracket to see exactly where he is. 2 Terran players are going to be going up against each other in a moment, where they will fight for a position to play against Lilbow for a position at the playoffs. But Jaedong is done for today, unfortunately. He will have to come back tomorrow to play in the elimination game against the loser of our next match, which we'll be going into very, very shortly, as Iagers from Australia takes on 4GG from Korea, Germany.
1 damage away from victory. They